Hello. So I want to take a moment to talk about cognitive distortions. So what is a cognitive distortion, and why do so many people have them? Cognitive distortions are simply ways that our mind convinces us that something isn't really true. These inaccurate thoughts are usually used to reinforce negative thinking or emotions, telling ourselves that um, sound rational and accurate, but really only serve as to keep us feeling bad about ourselves. Cognitive distortions are at the core of what many cognitive behavioral and other kinds of therapists try and help a person to learn and change in psychotherapy. By learning to correctly identify this kind of stinking thinking, a person can then answer the negative thinking back and refute it. By refuting the negative thinking over and over again, it will slowly diminish over time and be automatically replaced by more rational, balanced thinking. So what are the most common cognitive distortions? In 1976, psychologist Aaron Beck first proposed the theory behind cognitive distortions, and then in the 1980s, David Burns was responsible for popularizing it with common names and examples for the distortions. So number one is filtering. A person engaging in filtering or mental filtering takes negative details and magnifies those details while filtering all the positive aspects of the situation. For instance, a person may pick out a single unpleasant detail and dwell on it excessively so that their vision of reality becomes darker and distorted. So when this is applied, they only see the negative and they completely ignore the positive parts. So number two, polarized thinking. In polarized thinking, things are either black or white, or all or nothing. We have to be perfect or we're a complete and utter failure. There is no, okay, I did all right. It's, I suck, or I'm really great. So there's basically no middle ground. With a person with polarized thinking, places, people, or situations are in the either or category with no shades of gray. And then next you have overgeneralizing. In this cognitive distortion, a person comes to a general conclusion based on a single incident or a single piece of evidence. If something bad happens just once, then they expect it to happen over and over again. For instance, if a student gets a poor grade on one paper one semester, they conclude they're a horrible student and should quit school. Next, we have jumping to conclusions. Without individuals saying so, a person who jumps to conclusions knows what other people is thinking and feeling, and exactly why they act that way. In particular, a person is able to determine how others are feeling towards them. For example, a person may conclude that someone is holding a grudge against them, but doesn't actually bother to find out if they are correct or not. Another example involving a fortune telling is when a person may anticipate that things will turn out badly in their next relationship and will feel convinced that their prediction is already an established fact. So why bother dating? So next we have catastrophizing. When a person engages in catastrophizing, they expect disaster to strike, no matter what. This is also referred to as magnifying and can come out in its opposite behavior, minimizing. In this distortion, a person hears about a problem and uses what-if questions to imagine the absolute worst occurring. With practice, you can learn to answer each of these cognitive distortions. And I think in another video I actually talked about that. So personalization is the next one. Personalization is a disorder where a person believes that everything others do or say is some kind of direct personal reaction to them. 7 is control fallacies. This distortion involves two different but related beliefs about being in complete control of every situation in a person's life. In the first, if we feel externally controlled, we see ourselves as helpless, a victim of fate, for example. I can't help it if the quality of my work is poor or my boss demanded I work overtime on it. So then we have number 8, fallacy of fairness. In the fallacy of fairness, a person feels resentful because they think that they know what is fair, but other people won't agree with them. Number 9 is blaming. When a person engages in blaming, they hold other people responsible for their emotional pain. They may also take the opposite track and instead blame themselves for every problem, even when it's not their fault. 10, should. These are your typical should statements. I should pick up after myself more. I should, blah, blah, blah. 11, emotional reasoning. The distortion of emotional reasoning can be summed up by the statement, if I feel that way, it must be true. Whatever a person is feeling is believed to be true, automatically and unconditionally. If a person feels stupid and boring, then they must be stupid and boring. 12, the fallacy of change. In the fallacy of change, a person expects that other people will change to suit them if they just pressure or cajole them enough. A person needs to change people because their hopes for success and happiness seem to depend entirely on other people. Oh, sorry, my foot's asleep. My cat's attacking it. It feels weird. Anyway, 13, global labeling. In global labeling, a person generalizes one or two qualities into a negative global judgment about themselves or another person. This is an extreme form of overgeneralizing. Instead of describing an error in context of a specific situation, a person will attach an unhealthy universal label to themselves or others. For example, they may say, I'm a loser in a situation where they failed at a specific task when someone else's behavior rubs it. The person the wrong way without bothering to understand any context about why. So 14 is always being right. When a person engages in this distortion, they're continually putting other people on trial to prove that their own opinions and actions are the absolute correct ones. And then finally 15, heaven's reward fallacy. The final cognitive distortion is the false belief that a person's sacrifice and self-denial will eventually pay off, as if some global force is keeping score. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.